Why do people's words have the power to disturb our entire day? It can be just one comment, one tone, one moment of disrespect, and suddenly your mind won't stop replaying it. Your chest feels tight, your mood shifts, you start questioning yourself, or feeling anger rise, or wondering why people treat you this way. Disrespect, criticism, rejection, unfair judgment, they sink deeper than we expect. Not because we're weak, but because we're human. The Buddha understood this struggle well. He taught that the real storm isn't in the other person's words, it's in how our mind receives them. And the good news is this: staying calm is not a personality trait you're either born with or not. It is a skill, one that can be trained, strengthened, and mastered. In this video, we begin learning that skill, step by step. Teaching 1. You are not the story your mind creates. When someone hurts or disrespects us, the pain rarely comes from the moment itself. It comes from the story our mind creates afterward. The comment might have lasted 2 seconds, but the mind can replay it for hours. We hear their words again and again. We analyze their tone. We imagine hidden meanings they never actually said. We fill in intentions, judgments, and insults that might not even exist. Someone says, "Why did you do it like that?" And suddenly, the mind turns it into, "They think I'm incompetent. They don't value me. They never respect anything I do." The Buddha taught that this second layer, the story, is what creates suffering. The event is short, but the mental narrative becomes endless. This is why a small disrespect can feel like a deep wound, because the mind keeps stitching more pain onto it. In Buddhist teachings, there is a simple but powerful insight. A thought is just a thought, not truth, not identity, not reality. Most people never learn this. They believe what the mind says. They attach to every interpretation as if it's absolute fact. But the Buddha compared thoughts to waves on the ocean, always rising, always fading, never solid. And you are the ocean beneath them. Imagine you could witness your thoughts the moment they arise. A hurtful memory appears, and instead of diving into it, you gently acknowledge, "Ah, a thought is here." Not "this is true," not "I need to react," not "this defines me," just a thought. This small shift creates space between you and the interpretation your mind is building. The Buddha once said, "We are shaped by our thoughts, but we are not our thoughts." When you see thought as thought, not as truth, something extraordinary happens. The story loses its power. The hurt softens. The mind quiets down, because the moment you step out of the narrative, you step out of suffering. This is the first step in staying calm when someone hurts you. Don't let the mind become the storyteller. Let it become the observer. And once you can do that, the next teaching becomes even more liberating. Teaching 2. Their behavior reflects them, not you. One of the most liberating Buddhist teachings is this: people's actions reveal their inner world, not your worth. When someone hurts you, criticizes you, or speaks with disrespect, the mind instantly turns inward. What did I do wrong? Why don't they value me? Is something wrong with me? But the Buddha taught that human behavior comes from deeply rooted patterns, from wounds, fears, ignorance, habits, and conditioning carried through a lifetime. Most people speak not from wisdom, but from their own unresolved suffering. A person filled with anger will spread anger. A person filled with insecurity will project insecurity. A person who has never been shown kindness will struggle to offer kindness. None of this is about you. Think about it. When someone lashes out, their reaction often tells you far more about their inner storm than anything about your character. The Buddha compared this to a person struck by a poisoned arrow, in pain, confused, desperate, and in that suffering, they may unintentionally strike others. Their attack is not intentional wisdom. It is a symptom of their wound. Projection is one of the mind's strongest tendencies. Someone who feels inadequate may belittle you. Someone who fears abandonment may accuse and cling. Someone who is jealous may create conflict where none exists. Someone who is stressed may snap at the nearest person. Their internal battle spills outward. But when you take it personally, you pick up a burden that was never yours. Freedom begins the moment you can gently say to yourself, "This is their state, not my worth." Their tone is their pain, their rudeness is their conditioning, their judgment is their limitation, their reaction is their history. None of it decides who you are. When someone throws emotional flames, you don't have to walk into the fire. You can step back, breathe, and see clearly. This is their suffering speaking, not as an excuse, but as understanding. Because when you understand this, something shifts inside you. You stop absorbing, you stop collapsing, you stop carrying what was never meant for you, and in that moment, you reclaim your peace. This is the second teaching, the art of not mistaking someone else's chaos for your identity. Next, we learn how to remain unshaken even when the storm rises. Teaching 3. Pause before you absorb their energy. When someone hurts you, the mind wants to react instantly. It wants to defend, explain, attack, or retreat. This reflex is natural, but it is also the beginning of suffering. The Buddha taught that reaction is how pain multiplies, like throwing wood onto a small flame until it becomes a wildfire. But awareness dissolves the flame before it spreads. This is where one of the most powerful Buddhist practices comes in, the sacred pause. Before absorbing the person's energy, before letting their tone, attitude, or disrespect enter your heart, you take one conscious breath, not to suppress your feelings, not to pretend you're unaffected, but to create space between the moment and your response, space between their emotion and your peace, space between their storm and your inner sky. In that single breath, something extraordinary happens. You shift from reacting unconsciously to responding with clarity. The Buddha taught this lesson through a famous metaphor. If someone brings you a gift, but you refuse to accept it, who does the gift belong to? The giver. He said anger, insults, disrespect, and cruelty work the same way. If you do not accept them, if you do not grab them, if you do not hold them tight, they return to the sender. This doesn't mean you deny your feelings or allow mistreatment. It means you stop letting someone else's suffering take over your body and mind. Think of it like watching a wave roll toward you. You don't have to let it crash against you. You can let it rise and fall and pass. That is the power of the sacred pause. In real life, it looks like this. Someone criticizes you harshly. Your chest tightens. Your mind fires up 1,000 defenses, but instead of reacting, you inhale gently, one breath, and that breath gives you perspective. This is their state of mind. I don't need to absorb it. You haven't reacted. You haven't escalated. You haven't carried their energy into your heart. You stayed with yourself. This is how calm is protected. Not by controlling others, but by mastering the space between trigger and response. Next, we look at a deeper truth, why we get hurt so easily when we're defending an identity that was never permanent to begin with. Teaching 4. Respond with wisdom, not ego. When someone disrespects you, the first voice that speaks inside is usually not wisdom, it's ego. Ego wants to defend itself. Ego wants to win. Ego wants the last word, the sharper comeback, the feeling of dominance or validation. But the Buddha taught that ego-driven reactions only create more suffering, for you first and then everyone around you. Wisdom, on the other hand, is quiet. Wisdom doesn't rush. Wisdom doesn't need victory. Wisdom chooses what protects your peace, not what satisfies your pride. To respond with wisdom is not weakness, it is mastery, because anyone can lash out, Anyone can attack back. Anyone can mirror disrespect with disrespect. But it takes inner strength to stay grounded while someone else is shaking. Ego reacts. Wisdom responds. Ego wants to prove a point. Wisdom wants to understand the moment. Ego escalates. Wisdom breaks the cycle. Consider a simple example. Someone speaks to you with an irritated tone. The ego immediately interprets it as an attack. They're disrespecting me. They shouldn't talk to me like that. Instantly, your body tightens and your tone sharpens in return. Now the conversation becomes a battlefield, not because the situation was impossible, but because ego hijacked the moment. But imagine the same situation with wisdom instead of ego. You notice their tone. You feel your own reaction rising, but you don't feed it. You stay in your body, not in your story, and then you respond with calm, steady clarity. I hear what you're saying. Let's talk about it calmly. Your tone itself shifts the entire energy of the moment. Their emotional fire cannot burn in the presence of your cool waters. Your groundedness becomes a mirror, showing them their own agitation without adding to it. This is not submissiveness. This is power, the kind that comes from self-respect, not aggression. When you respond with wisdom, you are saying, I will not lower my state of mind to match your turbulence. I choose my peace over my pride. The Buddha taught that true victory is not defeating others. It is conquering the anger, fear, and ego within ourselves. Responding with wisdom transforms the moment, protects your heart, and leaves you without regret. And now, this leads naturally to the final teaching, learning how to let go of the identity that gets triggered in the first place. Teaching 5. Protecting your peace through boundaries. One of the greatest misunderstandings about Buddhism is the idea that compassion means staying quiet, accepting mistreatment, or allowing others to drain or disrespect you. But the Buddha never taught that. Compassion is not letting yourself be harmed. Compassion is not absorbing someone else's anger. Compassion is not abandoning your own peace to keep the peace. True compassion is balanced, a harmony between caring for others and caring for yourself. The Buddha called this upekkha, equanimity, a state where your heart remains open, but your inner boundaries remain strong. Because without boundaries, compassion collapses into self-neglect. When someone repeatedly disrespects you, drains you, or speaks to you in a harmful way, staying silent is not kindness, it is self-abandonment. And the Buddha taught that harming yourself is just as unwholesome as harming another. So what does a Buddhist boundary look like? It is calm, not aggressive, clear, not harsh, firm, not reactive. It might sound like, I wish you well, but I cannot allow you to speak to me that way. Or, I care about you, but I need space right now. Or even, this conversation is hurting more than helping. I'll return when we're both calmer. These words are not walls, they are door frames. They show the path to respectful connection. They remind others how you expect to be treated, without attacking them in return. In Buddhism, this is known as protecting your sacred energy, because your peace is not something to be negotiated with someone else's chaos. Your emotional clarity is not something to sacrifice so another can stay comfortable. Healthy boundaries say, I can care about you without carrying you. I can love you without losing myself. I can be compassionate without being your cushion for harm. And a beautiful thing happens when you begin to protect your inner space. Your peace grows. Your mind becomes steadier. Your heart becomes lighter. Your relationships become healthier because you no longer accept treatment that dims your light. Remember, the purpose of boundaries is not to push people away, but to keep your dignity, clarity, and inner calm intact. And when your peace is protected, your compassion becomes stronger, because it no longer comes from depletion, but from fullness. Boundaries are not the opposite of compassion, they are compassion directed inward. Teaching 6. Return to the present moment. There is a powerful truth the Buddha taught about emotional pain. Most of the suffering we feel does not come from the moment. It comes from the mind replaying the moment. Someone hurt you once, but the mind repeats it 100 times. The event ends, but the story continues. This is why disrespect, betrayal, or criticism can follow us for days, even weeks. Not because the moment is still happening, but because the mind keeps dragging it into the present. The Buddha compared this to being struck by 2 arrows. The first arrow is the painful event. The second arrow is everything the mind adds on top of it. Rumination, imagination, replay, self-blame, fantasies of what you should have said. The second arrow hurts far more than the first, and the way to drop that second arrow is to return, again and again, to the present moment, because the present moment is always calmer than the mind's story. Right now, in this breath, there is no insult, no argument, no disrespect happening. There is simply you, breathing. Here is a simple practice taught in Buddhist mindfulness. When the mind begins replaying the hurt, gently say, "Not now, I am here." Then shift your attention to something real, your breath rising and falling, your feet touching the ground, your hands resting softly in your lap, the sounds around you, not imagined, but actually happening. This reconnects you with reality instead of the mind's projection of it. You may still feel emotion, that's okay. But emotion without mental storytelling softens naturally. The Buddha said, "In this moment, you are safe." And it's true. Safety is never found in the past or the future, only here, in this breath. So the next time someone's words echo in your mind long after the moment has passed, pause gently and ask yourself, right now, in this moment, what is actually happening? Almost always, the answer is nothing harmful, nothing threatening, just the mind trying to protect you by replaying pain. When you return to the present, the replay loses its power, the story dissolves, peace returns, and you discover that calm was never lost. You were simply looking for it inside your thoughts, instead of inside this moment. Peace is not found in changing others. It begins with mastering yourself. You've learned 6 Buddhist teachings that protect your peace. Seeing thoughts as thoughts, understanding others' actions are their own, pausing before you absorb their energy, responding with wisdom instead of ego, setting compassionate boundaries, and returning to the present moment. Together, these practices remind you of something essential. You don't have to carry every emotion someone hands you. You don't have to let their pain shape your peace. Calm is not a reaction. It is a choice cultivated from within. So take a breath, let your shoulders soften, feel the strength of your own presence. If this teaching brought you clarity or comfort, I invite you to continue this journey with me. Subscribe for more Buddhist wisdom, emotional healing, and gentle guidance, one peaceful step at a time.